joined us right here on the India Development Debate. I'm Taneia Bhardwaj and we're coming to you live from our Mumbai studios. Our top story this evening, the law finally catching up with fugitive diamantaire Nirav Modi. Days after Vijay Mallya's arrest, the Scotland Yard on late Tuesday has arrested Nirav Modi from central London. Now, this is an arrest that's been made on behalf of the Indian authorities. Modi is offered £500,000 as a bail bond. The magistrate turned it down, saying that there was substantial ground to believe that he would fail to surrender should he be granted bail. Nirav Modi, remember, fled India in the January of 2018, weeks before his nearly 14,000 crore rupees scam with the Punjab National Bank came to light. Remember, the value of the scam equals something like 15 Rafale jet planes. How much credit does the government really deserve for this arrest, and how soon before he will be extradited to India? These are just some of the questions that we're going to ask in this leg of the India Development Debate. And joining in for that discussion, former CBI Director Mr. A.P. Singh. We also welcome a senior lawyer at the Supreme Court, Sanjay Hegde. From the BJP, National Spokesperson Syed Zafar Islam joins in, and spokesperson of the Congress Party, Adil Singh Boparai, is here with us as well. Gentlemen, good evening and thank you so much for sparing the time. Mr. Singh, let me begin by asking you, first, do tell our viewers how significant is the fact that Nirav Modi's bail has been denied and he will now stay in custody till the 29th of March. Does it strengthen India's bid to bring him back? Mr. Singh? All right, we'll try and connect that line with Mr. Singh. But Mr. Hegde, if you could hear that question, I'd like to pose it to you. Just how big a move is this for India?
Well, this is at last a step in the right direction, because it does appear from what has been reported in the press that the British Foreign Office was asking for documentation. The Indian government was replying in a cursory manner. Then the Telegraph video happened, and after that, things have started falling in place. Now, how much credit to give whom and how much discredit to give whom is not my province. The question here is that he's been detained. The magistrate sees that he is a substantial flight risk. The magistrate obviously sees him to be a substantial flight risk given the circumstances of his flight from India earlier, and also the fact that here is a man who's been accused of many things, who has been spotted by the British press, and there is a video to that effect of him nonchalantly walking down Oxford Circus. The nature of his trade also, unlike Vijay Mallya, this is a man who deals in high-value diamonds. This is also a man who's paid a substantial amount of money in cash for his London house. Given that he has highly liquid assets and can also take off at short notice, the magistrate thought that it would be a better call not to accept a mere bail bond for £500,000, but maybe he wants something more substantial.
Okay.
The process is long. The extradition process is long. And you can't necessarily detain a man throughout that extradition, and certainly that will not fly under British law.
Right.
Bail has been delayed. I don't know whether it will be ultimately denied.
Right. Okay, right. Let's try and, connect back with Mr. Singh. And Mr. Singh, I hope you can hear me. We were talking about how big a win this is for India. But, unlike Mallya, who was granted immediate bail on his arrest on an extradition warrant, Nirav Modi remains in custody while court proceedings are taking place. Given that, can we expect a faster extradition process as compared to Mallya, or are we staring again at a lengthy trial?
Taneia, the process will remain the same. I mean, it's not that it's going to be any faster. You have to convince the lower court and get an extradition order on which he can then appeal to the Home Secretary and then he can go to the High Court and then the Supreme Court, and finally, if UK is still part of the EU, then he can also approach the European the Court of Human Rights, which is the highest body there. But there are one or two significant things that have happened in after Malia's case. One is that the Indian government has conclusively established that human rights and the jail conditions in India are acceptable for extraditing people. And so in Vijay Malia's case, they have rejected that contention of Mr. Malia's lawyers. And also in a case of a bookie called Sanjeev Chawla, who earlier they had refused to extradite, they have now taken up his extradition case, and they have ordered his extradition. And his extradition had also been held up on the grounds that the conditions in Indian jails were not conducive for extraditing a prisoner back to India. So with this, I think it will be fast track. Now the only grounds that Nirav Modi will really have is to say that this is a civil offence and it's not a criminal offence. But obviously the Indian government case has been very strong, that they have taken him, they have arrested him, and they have taken him into custody. In fact, the fact that they arrested him yesterday and they kept him overnight showed that it was different from Malia's case, because in Malia's case, they just picked him up in the morning, they took him to the court, and he got bail in 3 hours. So there's obviously a difference, and either there's been better coordination from the government side, better presentation of the case, or they feel that Nirav Modi and Malia cannot be put on the, in equal footing. There's much more against Nirav Modi than there was against Mr. Malia.
Adil Singh Boparai, let me ask you, the Congress party doesn't seem very impressed. You've criticized Nirav Modi's arrest as mere symbolism ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. Isn't that a tad unfair? And I'm saying it because, the Scotland Yard has clearly mentioned that Nirav Modi was arrested on behalf of the Indian authorities. So, let's give the credit where it's due.
Well, Taneia, the proof of the pudding lies when he's brought back onto Indian soil and he's made to cough up that money. That's point number one. Point number two, I think let's not be too eager to celebrate. There's a long drawn process, as Mr. Hegde and Mr. AP Singh have pointed out. Vijay Malia fled sometime in 2016, and still the process is on. So therefore, it's a long tunnel before we can expect to bring him back. That's point number two. Point number three, I think what's most intriguing is that this fraudster fled in January 2018, and we've been told by the MEA that his passport was suspended. So if his passport has been suspended, how is it that he's been globetrotting from New York to Hong Kong to London? This is something which the government needs to explain. Point number three, it's now out in public domain that the UK government had in fact sent several queries to the government of India seeking more information, and the government was not responsive. Ultimately, there was relentless pressure put after the Telegraph broke the story, where they found him on the streets of London, gallivanting in downtown London. The Congress party's campaign, where we exposed this collusion between Mr. Modi and Nirav Modi, and that's how the government was actually pressurized to act. It's not something which was done voluntarily. They were pushed to the corner on account of the efforts by the Congress party and the media. But I think what's most important here is what and how and what manner was his escape facilitated. Because let's not lose sight of the fact that here's an individual who was tipped off, he flees with his entire family, lock, stock and barrel, reaches Davos, gets clicked by the Prime Minister, and the government is caught napping. So what really led to the great escape? These are issues which the government has to point out. Now, it is in public domain that his uncle Mehul Choksi is friends with the Prime Minister. In fact, the Prime Minister refers to him as Mehul Bhai. How is it that all these fraudsters managed to flee the country and the government is napping each time? These are issues which the government of the day must respond. And coming to today's issue, I think it's too little, too late. He has to be brought back to Indian soil, and all individuals who were responsible for his escape have to be brought to justice, because this is a much larger conspiracy where there is certainly an intrinsic link between him and several senior BJP leaders.
Okay, let's pose that question to the BJP spokesperson, Syed Zafar Islam. You cannot deny the fact that both Nirav Modi and Vijay Malia fled the country under your watch. So it is a valid question to pose, why dub this as an achievement? It is the government that, let him go in the first place.
let me respond to Congress spokesperson. First of all, it's an achievement. It's an achievement of the government, because the way they pursued, the level of engagement they had with the US authorities, all the Indian agencies were directly in touch with the US authorities, and these are efforts of the government, and the foreign policy they have adopted since 2014 have actually indeed resulted in what we are seeing today. Congress always anticipated that Nirav Modi will never be able to apprehend Nirav Modi, even though everyone knows that Nirav Modi, what he is today, purely with the support of the Congress party and senior leaders and senior minister of the Congress party, they were complicit with senior leaders of the Congress party and did all the fraud. But the distinction between him and Malia, the Malia was a defaulter. He was a defaulter. He fled the country, and he was also a member of parliament, and he fled the country. And this guy was a fraudster. He was an economic offender, and everything was noticed after he fled. But away from that, today what we are talking, the Congress party is talking in terms of number of days, months, and weeks and months, that when he will be back. But let me tell you, his case will be accelerated by the UK authorities, purely because the kind of evidence Government of India has provided, and it is unfair. Maybe somebody is clueless, and they need to be clueless, because everything was being done by the Indian authorities very confidentially. That's why nobody got to know about it. That it was accelerated after some telegraph or some newspaper had spotted Nirav Modi in UK. The UK authorities were aware of where he was living. Indian authorities were aware of. Only thing, the law of the land in UK has certain requirements, and that requirements was being fulfilled by providing all the documents which the UK authorities needed from the government. So we have done all that exercise. Now only thing we need to be, and it's a great victory for the Honorable Prime Minister and for everyone in the country, for all the chowkidars, except those people who are actually perennially, they do practice the they believe in unfair practice. They are corrupt, and they have corrupt mindset. They only will find fault in the entire process. But away from that, let me tell you one thing. Both Malia and Nirav Modi, we had told everyone that no matter where they are hiding, they will be hunted. Today, Nirav Modi has been hunted. His case will be accelerated, fast-tracked, and he will be here sooner than everyone is anticipating. And once he is tried as per the law of the land, you will find many guilties who are complicit, who have supported him, and all are from the Congress parties, and they will equally be responsible, and they will also find themselves behind the bar.
Okay, Adil, I'll give you time to respond, but I have a quick question before that to Mr. Singh. Mr. Singh, how hopeful should we be? You know, in the past, you've got some 12-odd extradition requests that were rejected on grounds that India didn't have enough proof. In this case, do you believe our investigative agencies have a solid case to present?
Well, I definitely think that they've done a good job, and they've obviously had very good coordination. They've appointed good lawyers. They've spent money, because earlier this was a big constraint with all of us, that we used to send an Indian lawyer to the UK to fight our extradition cases, because those lawyers cost a lot of money. So this time I think the government has spent the money. They have got the top lawyers. They have briefed the Crown prosecution. They have established a proper case. And that is the reason why he's in custody today, and he did not get bail. So I think that is a very positive first step. But as far as expediting the process is concerned, it's a process which will take its time. I mean the due process has to be followed. It's a British system, just like the Indian system. You have courts of appeal, and you have to go through the whole process, and only then can you get him back. It's not going to happen that tomorrow the court is going to say that we are extraditing Nirav Modi. That's very unlikely, because he will have certain rights, and you will have to take care of all that.
Okay, right. Mr. Hegde, at this stage the case looks very straightforward, but could there be some complications? Take for example, there was talk, if let's say he's applied for asylum or he's acquired any other international citizenship, then, you know, it becomes difficult to get him back to Indian soil. For example, he operates a diamond business in central London, which basically means that he's probably secured a national insurance number as well. So could all of this make things, you know, even more tough?
Well, I would anticipate him making things tough for the those who seek to extradite him, but that is only to be expected. The point is that, as Mr. Singh was saying, you cannot short-circuit the process, you can't fast-track the process. And anybody who's telling you that, oh, we are bringing him back immediately, that's pure bunkum. I've seen the most solid of cases collapse when some vital piece of evidence or the other has not been presented. It's a lawyer's axiom that we only tremble when we have cast iron cases. Something or the other does go wrong. So I will trust that the man is back in India only when he is finally put on that flight. Till then, whichever government is in power and whichever government is doing an honest job of bringing him back, all support to them. The fact that they bring him back is not an answer to the question as to why did you let him go away in the first place.
Sure.
It's also not an answer to why did you endorse such a fraud that you did not know about him. You let him have access to the Prime Minister in Davos, and he was there representing India with all the other captains of industry.
Okay.
Now, all the other captains of industry are also tarred by their association in that photograph. There is a question of credibility of the Indian word and the Indian government when you do things like that.
Sure.
You may bring him back ultimately, but you certainly goofed up earlier. Let's see whether you do an honest job of bringing him back.
Okay, fair enough. Adil, you know, I have just 2 minutes left on the show, so I'm going to give a minute each to the politicians. Adil, you wanted to sort of respond to what BJP spokesperson was saying. The fact also is, Adil, that the PNB scam it's more about political patronage and crony capitalism rather than lapses in the banking system. Again, maybe a charge that, you know, the Congress party also can't sort of refute, right? Given that this is a scam, the PNB scam that dates back to, you know, years ago.
Well, Taneia, if you read the CBI RC, the last LOU which was executed was in 2017, which is during the NDA, during Mr. Modi's reign. But be that as it may, let's just keep a few facts in our mind. It's been 15 months since his escape, and the extradition process hasn't even formally started. He fled in January 2018, and we're in March 2019. So you can reasonably discern how long the entire process is going to take. That's point number 2. Point number 3, look at the duplicity of the BJP. They say the credit for this cosmetic exercise or this cosmetic development goes to Mr. Modi, but they shirk away responsibility from his escape. You know, it can't be that we take the credit, but the blame goes to somebody else. If you take the credit of this cosmetic development, then you also have to shoulder responsibility that it is because of your complicity and lapses that he managed to escape. And now, you know, we can wait till the cows come home to actually bring him back. And as far as the issue of bail is concerned, I think sooner than later he will secure bail, because that's, you know, bail is the rule. I mean, that's the common law principle, and it's just a matter of time. But most critical here is that how did he escape? And who all are the individuals who were involved in it? Even in the Vijay Mallya case, let's not forget that there was an LOC which was issued. The LOC was revoked, which facilitated his escape. Had the LOC been in operation, Vijay Mallya would have never fled. The government has spent hundreds of crores in litigation fee, and we still don't know whether if we'll actually bring him back. But had the LOC remained, Vijay Mallya would have never fled. And these are not stray examples, whether it is Mehul Choksi, whether it is Nirav Modi, whether it is Vijay Mallya, whether it is Jatin Mehta. There are a host of these fraudsters who have managed to flee under Mr. Modi's reign.
Sorry, I'm going to have to come in. I have one last...
associated with this party.
Adil, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to butt in. I have just 1 minute left. Syed Zafar Islam, please go ahead and respond to that.
See, people of India, today the narrative in the country is the Chaukidar versus Chor Parivar. I mean, what does Chaukidar define? It's honesty. And Chor Parivar is, everyone knows who is the Chor Parivar for ages. And that's why they want to downplay this achievement of the, where every citizen of this country is happy and thrilled with joy that this man who was a fraudster, who was economic offenders, who has been supported by Congress party all along, had fled from the country and now has been apprehended and behind the bar in UK. And sooner than later he will be extradited to India, where he will have to face the law of the land. I think this makes this excites everyone in the country, except people like Adil, or for that matter, some of the opposition parties, including Congress and their leadership. But away from that, our sincere effort will continue. We have already said that these people who have committed crime in the country and fled will not be spared. We will use our good office of the Prime Minister, engage the officers of the Premier Office of the other countries, and will ensure that these people cannot get any support from those offices, and they are brought back in the country. The legal process does take time. All I can say that given it's a very straightforward case, we have the evidence and it's a very straightforward case, we anticipate that everything will be accelerated and it will be fast tracked and it will not take as much time it has taken in case of Malia.
Well,
but
we sure hope
at least
so,
there is a certainty that these fraudsters, these criminals will eventually have to face the law of the land. They will be brought back here, and the way Congress was portraying that these people have fled forever.
Sure.
That is something now at least people of India know that it's a matter of time.
All right.
And it is a matter of time for Congress, senior leadership of Congress who have actually supported Malia and Nirav Modi and likes of these
okay,
people.
Mr. Islam, I'm afraid I've completely run out of time, so I'm going to have to close this debate, but not without thanking each one of you, Mr. AP Singh, Sanjay Hegde, Saeed Zafar Islam, and of course Adil Singh Boparai. Thank you so much for taking the time out. We'll take a quick break here on the show, but don't go anywhere. Up ahead, we're going to put the spotlight on who's going to win the Chaukidar wars. That debate is coming right up.